Yes, everyone, how you doing? Good afternoon. My name is Stephen Howson, and this is a quick little, in my opinion, there's been an article this morning from Ornstein, David Ornstein, a friend of the show, I guess we could call him, on The Athletic this morning. Headline, Growing Appetite for Premier League Season to be Abandoned on Moral Grounds. So a quick gist of it, and I'll pull out a couple of the paragraphs and I'll come to you guys and see what you guys are saying. So get your comments and questions in and stuff like that, and whether you agree or disagree. But here's what he's saying. A number of Premier League clubs want to end the current season with immediate effect and replay it in full once it's deemed safe to do so, even if that means Liverpool being denied a title in the first 30 years. One comment that I saw from Nufara, which is may as well cancel it and stop giving Liverpool fans hope that isn't there. And I like that. That's a good attitude. One senior figure told The Athletic it's morally wrong for football to be discussing playing football behind closed doors whilst the coronavirus crisis is at its peak. Do agree on that. You look at people sitting around the Premier League table by Skype, their ego cannot sustain a mirror being held up to them, they said. The fact is they are not as important as a Tesco delivery driver at this time. Bang on. We run a game. No more, no less. There is no place for sport at the moment. Now, that is bold. So, whoever that is, someone involved in the game saying that sort of stuff, that's very meaty. That's very strong, and I think very accurate. It says at a meeting of all top 20 top flight teams last week, there was a 100% commitment to completing the 1920 campaign, whatever that may take, including the prospect of staging matches behind closed doors, and the idea of declaring it null and void was off the table. Now, when that came out last week, I remember even thinking, hang on, you didn't even discuss the possibility that that might have to happen. I thought that was strange at the time. Surely at a meeting like this, a crisis meeting, you have to go through all of the different possible eventualities that could happen, all of the things that could happen. Like, no, I'm not really feeling that whatsoever. But privately, some clubs will have developed strong reservations about resuming football during the coronavirus crisis and are leaning towards the season being rerun regardless of the consequences. This initial view was raised by West Ham United Vice Chair and Karen Brady on the 14th of March in a subsequent Premier League video call. She and the Brighton and Hove Albion Chief Executive Paul Barber sounded a note of caution on the realities of finishing the matches, though there were no dissenting voices. No one pulled them up. Yet behind the scenes, it appears there are more who do not share the same collective message, with the chairman of another club telling The Athletic that he finds the existing position insulting, and any decision on what comes next needs 14 of the 20 clubs to agree a vote. Despite European football's governing body UEFA stating its aim of concluding all domestic and European club competitions by the 30th of June, as things stand, the men's and women's seasons in England have been extended indefinitely, with fixtures recommencing no earlier than the 30th of April. One chairman is furious that the sport is even considering a return in the midst of such societal turmoil, describing it as embarrassing. Now, there's a couple of lines that I want to whip out here, which are flabbergasting. One concept proposed by a chairman who said, how can you play a contact sport which could result in injury, and a highly paid, highly privileged individual having to go to hospital to be fixed, placing an even greater burden on the hospital system at a time when the virus is escalating? I find it insulting that we're even talking this way. It is just not important. If we start playing behind closed doors, you cannot agree that guarantee that you're going to have thousands of people turning up outside stadiums. It's absurd. Forget the practicalities of it. I just find the whole proposition insulting. That people are on ventilators dying and yet we're playing a game, I am baffled by it. Even in good times, what we do is full of self-importance. It's just a game of football. Spot on that, man. Not spot on this, man, though. One club director feels that it's got its priorities wrong. Not this, this is fine. It's the line I'm coming to. The position we're taking is ridiculous. There are bigger issues to deal with. Yet every question is, will Liverpool be champions? It really doesn't matter. In world history, this will be recorded as a very challenging time. There is a place for football and entertainment, but at a time there are no troubles and there will be no major issues that need to be dealt with, as we've seen during world wars. And this, make no mistake, ladies and gentlemen, this is a fucking war against the virus. It's got to be a war, and it has to be treated as such. At a recent meeting, one club said, listen, I'm going to let my players go on holiday, but if they get stuck because the situation changes, do you think the government will send private planes to go and get them? This is how disconnected and fucking ludicrous that they are. I completely agree with not having players go into hospitals and further strain what's going on with the hospitals. We did a debate on Devils yesterday, and my chosen thing was finish the season and then cancel it if it doesn't get done by the 30th of June. But the massive caveat on that was if it is safe and capable to do so. Throwing up a few ideas and possibilities of how you might do this, but fundamentally, it's probably not feasible. And that's what the realization that everybody needs to come to on this. If it isn't feasible to do so, and it sucks as much as it sucks for the Northwest Counties Football League teams. I saw a team, Jersey Bulls, 27 games played, 27 wins, fucking smoked it. Season doesn't exist. I understand the frustrations, but this happens in sport, this happens in other sports. It's unprecedented in football, apart from during World War II. If you cannot complete this season, you cannot complete this season. We should be able to resume once we can officially and properly start a season. So that's what I'm thinking. Do you guys agree, disagree? That's what David Ornstein has just written in The Athletic. I'm not going to give you the full article. Go and check it out on The Athletic yourselves. But I thought it's a decent one. And it's a decent point to start off. And I think it's right. There's so many complications. For me, cancelling the season is very easy. You go, okay, cancel it. And it doesn't mean that the games that we've won this season don't exist. They just don't count to anything. It's like if you win 3 games in an FA Cup and then got knocked out. Well, you didn't win the FA Cup. It doesn't matter. Your season ended there. The league can be treated the same way. Yeah, we played all these games. You still had the record appearances for your club. You're still a leading goal scorer. But the results don't count anymore because the season got voided. So yes, you might have played that many games. Yes, you might have scored that many goals. Yes, obviously we all watched the games. They happened, but they don't count to anything because the season is now declared null and void. Pick up the season when you can pick up the season. Because if you don't, if the Premier League goes, fuck it, we're just going to continue right through, they'll fuck themselves like they did last summer with ending the transfer window early and having the arrogance to just assume. I've just had an email saying that Eaton Park's cancelled. Well, I thought that was coming for Liam Gallagher. If you cancel like they thought everyone was going to just jump on board last summer when we decided we were going to have the Premier League transfer window finishing early. Everybody else in Europe will just follow into line because we're England. No, don't work like that. Everyone else in Europe fucking laughed at us. For me, this has to come from FIFA and UEFA down. They have to say, cancel everything. They've already said all club games need to be finished by the 30th of June. Premier League already being arrogant and saying, fuck it, we'll do what we want. You can't. Because there's contract issues. There's the worldwide transfer market issue. There's the starting of seasons which qualify for all the European competitions. Now, I think there's a good chance that we'll be over this come the middle of the summer, the height of the summer, the July and the August, which means that we can potentially then start to move on with the season and start a new season and have another good go at it. And if that happens, yes, it is unfortunate for Liverpool. I will cry no fucking tears, mind you. But it is unfortunate for Liverpool, as it's unfortunate for Jersey Bulls, as it's unfortunate for every team, #United, etc. All of these different people. Making it null and void is the most litigation-proof way that they can do it. Because these organisations, I saw lots of the Northwest Counties and the Step 3 to 7 football teams in England, the non-league teams in England, talking about suing the FA for null and voiding their season. Now, I think that's the safest thing that they can do is to null and void the season amidst what's happened. Because for me, if they decide to just start arbitrarily awarding awards, the Premier League is one thing. Let's say there was only 6 points in it rather than the 20-odd that's in it. Let's say it's the top 4 race. Because if they say, got to award Liverpool the title, they're so far ahead. Well, mathematically, City can catch them. Okay, we're going to award Chelsea top 4. Well, on current form, United are going to overtake them. And all games haven't been played. So we might have easier or more difficult fixtures coming up. You can't just start arbitrarily awarding stuff. That is when you can open yourself up for litigation. You can't just randomly decide. There has to be fair and due process in how you decide stuff. And the fairest and most due process way that you can do that is by saying cancel it. Cancel it all. It didn't happen. And then you roll back to the last lot of qualifications that you have for everybody that's gone back. Say, right, seeing as though that season didn't happen, Norwich, you're still in the Premier League. United, you're still in the Europa League. All the teams in the Championship, you're still in the Championship. Everyone starts where they started this season, and that is the fairest way to do it for me. Let's see what some the comments that we are saying is. They can't afford to sue the FA. The Premier League teams can. That's one point, yeah. The more time that goes by, the less likely it's untenable this season, though the relegation, promotion, and European qualifications issues are a bit of a mess. Ideally, we finish, but not looking likely, says Andrew. Dixon says, end the season, start behind closed doors next season. That's my prediction. See, that's an option that we haven't considered, yeah. If the virus is still prevalent, maybe it's diminished in terms of its spread and where it is. Maybe starting behind closed doors might be the option. So the league is all about Liverpool, says Dave. It feels like it, doesn't it? It really does feel like it. No one fucking moans like Scousers. Heard a lot of scientists saying that this will last for at least 8 to 10 months. I haven't seen the 8 to 10 months one. I've seen a lot of predicting that it will peak in the next month or so, and it'll diminish a little bit over summer, but come autumn, October, November sort of time, they're expecting a second wave of it. So, you know, I think you might get games back, like you were just saying, they're possibly behind closed doors. Possibly, maybe, I don't know, maybe they'll start issuing some sort of certificate, which is if you've had it, you're technically immune to it, then you can go. If you haven't had it, I don't know. Again, that's the complications that are going to come out later on. What are the countries doing? Are they null and voiding as well? So far, I haven't read of any top flight team. I think Spain might have null and voided theirs, but I can't remember. There certainly hasn't been a mass of doing it. All the other sports, though, have. Loads of other sports have just gone, all right, this season doesn't exist. Some of them have said, oh, we'll try and pick it up in June. Some of them have said a little bit later. I've seen people trying to rearrange festivals and stuff like that. To be honest, those all rearranging festivals, personally, my opinion on that, this is music festivals, I think they're doing that so they don't have to refund your money. I think that's why they're doing it. If they get a new date out rescheduled and they say, oh, this festival that was in April, it's in September now, it's probably in the terms and conditions that they can change the date and not have to give you your money back. So I reckon that's why they're doing that. National League have scrapped theirs. Yes. Spain are suspended. Yeah, I thought they had. Opinion on herd immunity. I'm not a fucking doctor or a scientist, mate. It seems like the government wanted to do something about that in the first place. Then they changed their minds. It might have cost us lives. I don't know. Sat Cam in the comments says, behind closed doors is all well and good until fans start congregating outside stadiums. Corey says up the paddock. I think you make a good point, Cam. Yeah, I think some fans will congregate outside stadiums, but I think that is something that happened last month, I reckon. I think if games were played behind closed doors now, maybe play them at training grounds rather than stadiums then. Maybe that's the option. I think you've got to... I actually think that society would play the game nowadays. I think a while ago maybe they wouldn't. Luke, opinions on teams not being promoted and relegated, it's bollocks, but I don't know of a fairer way to do it. I don't know. Yeah, and what about the Champions League ban with City? I don't know. There's so many things that need to be fixed, and as Hacksaw says, a lot has changed in the last month. I guarantee this changes again in 4 weeks' time. And I do think the Premier League needs to act, and they need to say something. Surely finishing the season makes the most sense. More likely this virus will flag again next year, and then what do you do? Void 2 seasons. Well, I think the difference is we saw the birth of this in majorly in February, and the peak of it is now, and it's going to tail off. I think if it came again, I mean, I don't know. I'm not claiming to be in the know on this in the slightest. I don't think a second wave of it would be as widespread because of that, sort of herd mentality, herd immunity sort of thing. I think because there's a significant number of people who've had it, but maybe you need like 40-50% of the population to have had it for it not to be as viral. Again, I don't know. I'm not a scientist. I'm certainly not a biologist. So I don't know what the crack is with that then. If it happened again, yeah, you maybe have to avoid another season, but you can only do what you can do. You can't just pause one season indefinitely. It's the 1920 season, not the 1920-21 season. You have to just finish it. It's in the FA's own rules. You got to finish it then. They'll either null and void it all, or the Prem, Europa, Champions League, and FA Cup all have to be finished because teams have sacrificed some league performance. Again, correct. Yeah. How do you quantify what United have done versus what Sheffield United have done? Taking nothing away from the fantastic achievement Sheffield United have had, but United have had to deal with Europa. We've gone into the latter stages of the League Cup. We're in the latter stages of the FA Cup, and Sheffield United haven't. Those things play in a factor. Our points per game are probably lower because we always struggle coming out of the European games than they would maybe naturally be if we just had the league to concentrate. That's why I never entertain the argument from Arsenal fans about their undefeated season. You weren't undefeated. You didn't win the FA Cup. You didn't win the League Cup. You didn't win the fucking European Cup. You lost 6 times that season. And you can't take the Premier League in isolation because you play on a Wednesday in the Champions League and you play on a Saturday in the Premier League. What happened on Saturday is impacted by what happened on a Wednesday. And the fact that Manchester United managed to keep all 3 plates spinning in the air at the same time and go and win all of those things all at the last minute proves how fucking good that United team was. That's what I'm saying. Righty then. I think I'm going to leave it there. But listen, thank you guys for tuning in. I'm going to do a Twitch later on Football Manager. You can check that out on Twitch TV/Stephen Howson. I'll throw a link in the comments. So once this video is uploaded, I will put one in the description and one in the comments. So come and check me out on there. We're taking Paddock FC all the way from the Manchester League to potentially the Champions League. See how long that takes. We've just about finished season 1, undefeated, and been promoted as champions. So come and check that out. If you'd like to support the channel during these times, then we're aiming for 1,500 on Patreon. We're nearly at 1,100. We are that close. If we get to 1,500, then all of the lads can keep their jobs, and we can make sure that we still pump out the multiple videos a day that we're doing on here and on Paddock as well. So if you like that, think of it as a pint a month. 1 pint a month, £1 a week it is. If you're in England, it's $5 a month. The link for that is in the description. You get a little bit of extra content, you get extra interaction and stuff like that. I am doing the Patreon podcast right now, straight after this, which is one that just goes up for them. There's a vlog. And at the moment, there's like a bit of a nightly broadcast as well where we talk utter wibble. Last night I was looking at a man who shagged a dolphin and wrote a book about it. No shame. So if you're interested in that sort of weird shit, or if you just want to support the channel, like I said, the link is in the description for that. There's also the Paddock merch as well, like the hat that I'm wearing, if you like that sort of stuff. But again, thank you guys for tuning in. Make sure to subscribe, and I will see you guys in the next one. Laters.